part 2 of About an Hour with Jeff Carlson on the Apple Watch. This is Mac Voices. This edition of Mac Voices is brought to you by the MacVoices Slack, available to all patrons of Mac Voices. Sign up today at patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is the second part of our About an Hour with Jeff Carlson session on YouTube, where Jeff took some questions from the audience, talked about what he does with his Apple Watch first thing in the morning, discusses Apple Watch face customizations, and a whole lot more. Let's go back and let Jeff do the talking. So, Jeff, one of the most underused features, I think, and I really am curious to see if you agree, on the watch is Apple Pay. I'm still shocked at the number of people that will use Apple Pay, but they're pulling out their phone to do it when the watch is right there on their wrist.
Yeah.
And it's like, and once you do it, I mean, I understand why, it might be just a little bit unusual, and you do have to definitely tap the thing, to get it, to bring your Apple Pay screen up. But once you learn to do that, I mean, it is just so fast and so easy. And, with the benefits of Apple Pay, and we all know, you get certain percentages back as you go. But it just for the sheer convenience of it and the security of it, I don't understand why more people don't take advantage of that.
I think because it's weird, right? Because you're paying for something with your watch. Like, that almost seems a little too futuristic for a lot of people. I will admit, just generally speaking, I probably make 95% of my purchases using my watch, going to the grocery store, getting coffee, any place that has a reader, and now more and more of them do. That's the way I do it. Rarely do I end up having to actually, pull out a card and put it in the machine anymore. And it's also a little bit fun because even though this has now become more of a mainstream thing, there's still a lot of people working retail who are like, I didn't know you could do that. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And so, just to be sort of completist, if people don't know about it, if you double press the side button, and then you have basically, your preferred card. In this case, this is my Apple card, or I could choose like my bank debit card that I've set up, and then you just tap it next to the reader, and that's it. And there's also the benefit of it. It's cryptographically secure. It's not actually sending your card number. It makes a token that does the transaction, and it is actually a safer way to have a digital transaction rather than, say, handing over a credit card. It's just super convenient. And in a lot of places, I would say in more places now, you can use that for transit. So this summer, I was in France. I was in Paris, and I was able to ride the metro by just tapping my watch on the little reader to get access to the metro station. So didn't have to worry about like going and getting a card and loading the card. And it also worked really well in New York City. Supposed to work well in Washington, D.C., and I had problems with it. But, it's like super, super convenient. And all you have to do is, you're thinking about other things. You don't need to like stop and figure out, where did I put the card, my little transit card? Now I got to go back and go fetch with the machine and blah, blah, blah. You just go boop, it charges you, you're done. It's good.
Yeah, I know. Tonight I picked up dinner on the way home and paid with my Apple Pay. And you're right. I guess I think of it as just now sort of commonplace, but still the number of people that see you do it, whether it's the cashier or somebody in line behind you or in, passing in front of you. And it's like, wow, that's really cool. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I didn't think it was cool anymore, but I guess it is if you haven't seen it.
I'm just cool. That's just how it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Don't you know who I am?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's always worked for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It really hurts your ego when they say no. A couple questions from the chat room. And by the way, folks, if you're in the chat room and have questions for Jeff, please type them in. We'll get him to answer them. Let's see. I like the cloth feel of bands like the trail loop, but I don't like the feel when the band is wet. Is there a suggestion for a better watch band, or is carrying a spare band the only choice? Which I give him credit. I would not have thought of carrying a spare band. I would have probably just abandoned the band. But
Yeah. Well, I guess one suggestion would be, and I'm not sure like what he means by like the trail loop cloth feel. I'm just trying to think of if I have one of those. So here's what I usually wear. I probably should have brought a couple just for visual, but anyway, surprisingly, so put this up. So this is my Series 8, and I bought the version with just like the plain elastomer band, partially because the band is purple. It's kind of hard to tell in this light, but it's slightly purple, with the full intention of, I'll wear it for a couple of days and then I'll go back to what I usually wear, which is the like the stretchy loop band. I can't remember what exactly it's called. Apple has it for like $100. I bought mine from Amazon through a third party for I think $12 and got a pack of 3. And they're not quite cloth, but they're cloth-like, and I find them to be really comfortable. They stretch, to put on. You don't have to worry about any buckles or anything. So I would say try that if that's different from what was this, Eric? Hi, Eric. Yeah. If that's different from the one that you have in mind, try one of those. And I mean, I hate to sort of push low price Chinese vendors selling cheaply on Amazon, but it's a great way to try out a bunch of different bands without spending a whole lot of money. I think that these bands that I like, they tend to lose their stretch probably a little sooner than an Apple one would be, but I don't feel the need to spend $100 on a band, honestly. And I've never really gotten into the like the big metal plate type ones. For some people, like that's absolutely worth it, but for me, not so much.
Yeah, I need to. I'll let you answer the next question, then I'll look something up here. Because there was a recommendation made on the MacVoices Holiday Gift Guide about a particular band that was great. Bart Bouchat said he wears it when he's cycling in Ireland, because it's always wet in Ireland, apparently. And so, he's like, this is the band you want. So I've got to find the link for it.
Okay.
The other question that I want to make sure we get to, messages seems to sometimes not sync to the watch for me. Do you encounter any issues with messages not showing up on the watch, but on the phone? And I know I've had this experience too, although I've had it inconsistent between watch, phone, and Mac. So, you sort of have to check all three. Any tips or ideas on how to resolve that?
Unfortunately, no. I've seen this happen. I've had it both, show up on my watch, and actually, when I was doing the update to this edition of the book, I was trying to get screenshots of messages, or like have a message notification come in, because in WatchOS 9 they look a little bit different. If you're doing something, it'll pop in over the top, similar to the way the way it used to on the phone, rather than just sort of taking up the whole screen. The problem was, like, I had to try it multiple times. I had to make sure that all of my other devices were asleep or shut down, that might be getting messages. I wish I had a magic answer. I think it's either something wonky with the algorithms of sensing which device receives which thing, or I don't know, voodoo. I don't know. I mean, my main complaint right now with messages is that, in theory, because I have messages set up in iCloud to have them synced among all my devices, that if I delete one in one place, like I get a political text on my phone and I delete that from messages, I then have to also delete it on my iPad and also delete it on my Mac. And it seems like those should sync, or, if I delete it on my phone, on my watch, it should also delete, and it's not. So I think the bigger answer is, it's always a work in progress, and synchronizing, and I don't know how they determine, which device is the primary one at any given moment. That's just how the algorithms are sort of working. It's a terrible answer. I'm sorry, I don't have anything better to say.
Well, I don't think it's a terrible answer. It's just, it's one of those things that's not quite there yet. And I know we've talked a number of times on the show about how syncing, it seems like it should be one of the easiest things in the world, and it's not. It's like you said, what gets priority and what happens when something happens simultaneously, and do you want it to delete everything? If you delete it from one device, do you want it deleted from all devices? I have a feeling it's like, it seems like it should be an easy thing, which means it's probably really, really difficult when you're talking about servers and what have you. I think that also, actually, I just lost my train of thought because YouTube started playing my video and I had to mute it. So never mind. But yeah, it seems like it should be easy. I'm sure it's probably enormously complicated when you get into the nitty-gritty of backend and servers communicating and all of that. Yeah. So I'm throwing in the chat room a link to, let's see, do I want to say the Ocean Apple Watch Band, the yellow version, by the way. But this is one that Bart specifically said, he loves, because it doesn't matter how wet he gets, it's fine. So, Eric, that may help you out. May cost you a little money, but may help you out. So I do not have any experience with it, but I'm taking it from someone that says he does, and he loves it. And it's yellow. Yeah. So I'm going to make this last call for questions if anybody has any more. And if not, Jeff, I'm going to ask you, and you may have to think about this a little bit. What you can't think?
I can't think. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's right. Kind of like the phone. What is the first feature that you use in the morning with your Apple Watch? Obviously on a consistent basis. There might be exceptions, but is there anything you do on your Apple Watch? The first, maybe not as soon as you roll out of bed, but is there something you do every day that that pretty consistently that would be among the first things you do?
So I can point to a couple different things. So as I mentioned, I use my watch. I sleep with my watch on. I charge it during the day while I'm working at my desk. And one nice thing about the Series 7 and Series 8 and the Ultra, they now come with fast chargers. And so it's not like I have to leave it there for several hours to charge, which I think is one of those things that people get concerned about. They're like, oh, I'm always going to have to be charging it. And I find it's not really that big of a deal. And so I sleep with it, and I have my morning alarm set up. And I usually snooze it a couple of times. But let's say I get up before my alarm and, go brush my teeth and do sort of morning routine. It will notice that I'm up and moving, and it will ask, it seems like you're awake. Do you want to turn off your alarm? And then I'll say yes, because I'm up, I'm moving. So that's one thing that's sort of nice. I will do like a real quick check of my notifications to see if there's anything, vitally important. For example, up here in Seattle, it snowed yesterday and a little bit today. And so, as soon as I got up, I did a quick scan on my wrist to see if there were any text messages from the school district about whether or not in-person school was going to be happening. It did happen. So my kid was not very happy, but so just sort of doing like a real quick checkup there. Excuse me. And then I also have, so with watchOS 9, there's a new app called Medications, and Medications lets you you set it up in the health app on your phone, and you can say what medications you're taking. Now, what's cool about this are two things. One, it gives me a reminder. It keeps going to sleep because I'm not actually using it. It gives me a reminder at 8:00 saying, are you ready to log your medications? Which is handy as a notification. And I can show you basically in the morning, I have an allergy spray that I spray into my nose, and I take like a little, mini aspirin every day. And so the medications, so we have the little aspirin, we have the fluticasone propionate. I can't remember how to say it. And it will pop up and say, these are your medications. And because I basically do it, I brush my teeth, I take my medications, get my allergy spray. Then I can just tap a button that says log all as taken. And then in the health app, I can see, oh, did I miss taking my medication, X day or whatever. What's also neat about the medications feature is when you enter your medications, it looks up a database and sees if there are any possible complications by taking, certain combinations of medications. Now, it's not going to be like, hey, you should not be taking these things together, because one would assume that you're taking these on a doctor's orders. I mean, this is prescription medication, but it might, like when I was testing this for the book, I, was just putting in some, random things, and it said, like there is a known issue with having these two taken at the same time. Check with your doctor or check with your pharmacist. So that's kind of super cool. So I log my medications in the morning. I also have an app called Streaks, which is a third-party app on my phone that helps me remember to do things on a regular basis. And like that one reminds me to take my vitamins. And so I take my vitamins, and it will pop up a little thing saying, hey, have you taken your vitamins yet? And I say, yes, I have. And I don't have to go into the phone to go do that. Again, it's like super convenient. And if I haven't taken my vitamins, I will, get the little reminder that says, hey, dude, take your vitamins. So little things like that. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, and then, once we get out the door, I use the workout app to record an outdoor walk. So, and going back to the trends I mentioned earlier, it will look at trends going way back. I got an alert that said that my calories burned and my steps taken were way down. And I thought that was really weird because I have been walking more the last couple of months. Turns out it was comparing it to when we were on vacation in Europe, where we were walking 9 miles a day because we were in Paris and Rome. So sometimes the trends are a little misleading, but yeah, that's a really good question.
Today's Mac Voices is supported by the MacVoices Slack. The MacVoices Slack is where you can connect with the members of the MacVoices Live panel and other MacVoices patrons. Get in on the discussions, agree or disagree with our opinions, and get your voice heard. Sign up at patreon.com/MacVoices. And thanks for supporting MacVoices. So, to wrap this up, you said something I've forgotten now earlier, but you just used another example of the phone knows that, the watch knows that I have an alarm set. It also knows I'm up and moving, so it asks me if I want to cancel the alarm. You used another example earlier of, one of those little notifications that shows that there's a bit of intelligence built in. On Mac Geek Gab, I think it was Pilot Pete that said that his watch would, I think it was Pilot Pete that said that his watch would tell him, that it's not going to make it through the night. Just to track his sleep if the battery's not adequate. And it's some of these little things that are popping up, because I've gotten a couple too, and I can't tell you what they were at the moment, but it was like, that's interesting. Didn't know it could do that or would do that for me. Yeah. So these little incremental changes that it's not a big whiz bang feature. In fact, it might not even be one that makes it into your book, but here we are, that we're seeing those kind of things. It's not the knowledge navigator yet of, the magical knowledge navigator, but
right.
Those little steps, just make you feel pretty good about things moving forward.
Yeah. Well, and Apple is incrementing a lot. Oh, come on, I just had this open. They're incrementing things a lot. So, for example, the sleep feature, sleep tracking. So one of the things I can do, and I'm showing here, if I open the sleep app, I have it set up so that my alarm goes off at 7 a.m. Now, let's say, let's go back to last week. So Thanksgiving was on Thursday, Friday was a day off. And so I did not want my alarm to go off at 7 a.m. on Friday when I didn't need to be working. So you can launch the sleep app, and it says here, next wake up only. And so I could tap this and I could say, you know what? I want to wake up at 9 o'clock tomorrow. And I set that. Now that doesn't affect my normal schedule. I don't have to go and edit my regular schedule. It just knows that, okay, tomorrow my alarm's going to go off at 9. And so that's super handy. And you can do all sorts of other, schedules and things like that. But they've improved a lot of the analysis. And so last night I didn't get very much sleep. I was up late working, but it will show me right here, like times when I was getting REM sleep and core sleep and deep sleep. And if you look on the watch in the health app, it breaks it out into even more detail. And so if you're a person who has trouble sleeping, this could point to, patterns such as, well, like I'm always awake at 3 o'clock. What's going on? Looks like something is waking me up at 3:30. Or, I'm not completely awake, but I'm having some really shallow sleep during, these hours. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a dog that barks at the time of night or whatever. But it just gives you more data to work with, or at least to start with, that maybe you could take to your doctor and say, wow, I'm really fatigued. Does this make sense to you? And it might make sense to them. So that's also kind of a cool thing. Before we wrap, can I show a cool app feature?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. I mean, it's about an hour with Jeff Carlson, right? So it's not 60 minutes. So this is something that I'm sure people have known about for a while. I did not until recently. And it's going to, like, I have it listed as something to add to the next update to the book. Okay, so we've got all the different watch faces. And if you didn't know this little trick, you can just swipe. I'll do it here too. You just swipe left to right or right to left. You can swipe between your watch faces. Of course, now it's not going to do it. There we go. In addition to, if you touch and hold, then you can switch through them also. But, we're fairly limited to the faces that Apple provides, and, for lots of good reasons. But what if you want something different? There's an app called Clockology. And see if I can find it. Yeah, Clockology. And before I open it, basically it's a way for people to design their own watch faces. And it's kind of crazy. So for example, I can have this as my watch face. Now, what I'm looking at here is sort of like someone has made a, fanciful reproduction of an old LCD watch, and it shows me the seconds, and I've got my battery level, and or I can see if I do this, like there's a Christmas themed watch, right? So it's somebody asked, well, where's that watch face available? This is in the app Clockology. Now, the downside to this is if you use any sort of complications, all the little things around that show your activity, those don't work. So basically, you're just getting a live, come back, you're getting a live design that has a working watch and maybe a few things that it can read, like the battery level or the seconds in digital time. And that lets you have a watch face that's different from the stock ones. And if you never, need any other complications and you just want something cool or different, that's a good way to do it. There's a setting, and I can't remember where it is offhand, but when you look up the app, it'll tell you. There's a setting that basically will keep an app active and not just automatically go back to the home screen until you do something about it. So, I could actually just, leave this, and this will be my watch face until I go back to the home screen. Now, that said, here on my watch, I'm going to open up the Clockology app. And let's see. It's also a really good reason for why Apple doesn't let just anybody design watch faces, because some of these are just crazy. Some of them are really cool. Some of them are kind of innovative. Some of them are, just too much. There was one, I'm trying to see if I have, nope, that's not it. There was one that I saw that it was just out of control. But, if you want something different, let's see if we can see that in a bigger way. And then if I wanted to, I just tap this button at the right and I open up the app on my phone. And then after a couple of seconds, that loads and it becomes the next Clockology watch face. So yeah, for people who want variation, and there are also some like tools where you can design your own or you can customize it. I haven't really looked into that. But it's just it kind of breaks out of Apple's mold a little bit, which is really kind of cool and free. So Oh, go ahead.
It is a free app?
It's a free app that I think you can pay a subscription price and get more features.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be sure.
Somebody says, "Where's that watch face available?" Rebel 8. Rebel 8 is the name of my watch, so I'm not sure which face that he's talking about.
Yeah.
So this one here is one of the stock ones. This is the new astronomy, and I'm doing this with my hand,
with your finger. Very cool. Very cool. So, yeah, Eric in the chat room said, I didn't know about the one-off sleep time change. I need that. So there you go.
Yeah. It's super convenient. This face here is what I usually use because it just has a whole bunch of different information.
That's
but it's also, and it's also really nice too. Like sometimes, like I want to pretend that I'm going out and being all fancified and stuff. Maybe I'll do something that's minimal. And of course, even though I sort of talk about Apple, being sort of tight-fisted about their faces. In the book, there's a lot more about how you can customize them, like use different complications. And then another thing that is very cool, and I will admit I've not dug super deeply into, just because it's a little more than what I need. But I mentioned it in the book, and it's an app called Watchsmith. And Watchsmith basically lets you set up zones in the existing complication areas that can do a bunch of different things. So, for example, maybe during the morning you have some activity ones, but then after 2:00 you have maybe alarms or other things based on what you do during that time of day. There's a whole bunch of customization that still works within Apple's, playground, basically. So definitely something to check out if you want to go crazy, because there's a lot more that it can do that we really didn't have time to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, well, this could be a 4 or 5 hour show easy. I'm talking about all the things. But I do want you to do one thing. Go back and scroll through your watch faces.
Okay.
And let me see what I think was a take control of Apple Watch face.
Oh, yeah.
Did I see that?
You did, actually. I needed something on my website, jeffcarlson.com. I did a post about the new version coming out. And so I put a picture
there.
So this is just a picture of the book cover, and this is just using the Photos app. So, sorry, the Photos face, grabbing a photo from the Photos app, Apple, to do that. Here's another one. If you have photos of things, also another very cool one, if I can find it, portraits. So if you have shots that you've taken of in portrait mode and it has that depth information, you can pick a few. Right. Obviously, these are ones that I was using for testing because they're mostly me. If you like to look at yourself during the day, but this is great for like here's my wife, and actually you can see it's moving a little bit. Actually, it looks really weird there, but it has a little depth simulation going on.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you. I know I learned a couple things along the way. It sounds like some of the other people in the chat room did. So I want to thank you for spending about an hour with us, answering questions and talking Apple Watch. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes, this has been a lot of fun. As always, I was afraid we wouldn't have anything or have a whole lot to talk about, but you start getting into it and like it does a lot, and you don't have to do it all. But then you find little tiny conveniences, like you said before, that just make like a tiny bit of your day a little bit better. And you think, yeah, this was totally worth having.
Yeah. So I want to remind everyone that you can hear, you can read more of Jeff's wisdom at takecontrolbooks.com, where you can pick up Take Control of Apple Watch. Yeah, and as Jeff said, right now there's a sale going on until what midnight tonight or midnight tomorrow? Midnight tomorrow. So you can get an extra good deal on it. And so you can learn even more things that Jeff and I didn't have a chance to talk about tonight. And Jeff, I want to make sure also to let you tell folks where they can find you when you're not writing books about Apple Watches or talking to me here. Where all can they connect with you?
Mostly jeffcarlson.com. That's my website. There's also Twitter for who knows how long that will last. I'm at Jeff Carlson. Instagram, I'm also at Jeff Carlson. On Mastodon, I'm at Jeff Carlson at twit.social, I think. There's so many now. But yeah, the main places would be probably Instagram at Jeff Carlson, Twitter at Jeff Carlson, and look at that. I just hit all three of my goals. Sitting here talking, not actually doing anything.
Well, yeah,
I am. I'm moving. I'm gesticulating. Yeah. All of that. It's not as good as when I hit my activity goal once, sitting on the couch eating ice cream. That was like the best Apple Fitness day ever. But so Instagram, Twitter, or jeffcarlson.com. And also I have a couple of webcasts. I have a couple of podcasts that I co-host, PhotoActive and Photocombobulate. And those are all, again, linked from my website. Obviously photo related because I do a lot of writing and I'm also a photographer. So I write about photography and I take photos about photography. So yeah.
Okay. Take photos about photography. All right. Hey, whatever.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. I take photos that I use as examples to talk about photography.
Yeah. Now that makes more sense. Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for showing up.
Exactly. I want to thank the folks in the chat room for throwing in questions. That's always good because, Jeff and I can talk about a lot of things, but we want to talk about what you want to hear about. So thanks for being here. This is Mac Voices. We're going to continue to try to do these an hour with sessions as we go through, maybe not into the holidays, but definitely into the new year because they're always a lot of fun and it gets the folks involved too. So until the next time, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.